Okay. Sometimes I think we feel that we are powerless to do anything to solve the great problems in the world. There is so much suffering, terrible, terrible suffering of so many millions of people in the world. And we in our small corner feel that there's very little that we can do. I'm not quite sure that's so because I think that we have to just start from where we are. And if we can make the world a better place where we are in our small corner, then it is sure, I think, that it can spread and start to affect other people and eventually affect the world. I was meant to realize this again, but yesterday by meeting a new friend I've got, a man who's got two dogs, and he was telling me that he'd had confidant, I think it's called, a bit of argument with another man with a dog, and the dogs had, I think, grumbled at each other, and the man had gone off, and then when he was out of reach, really, of my friend, he shouted something back at him, and my friend was very upset about this, and he and this happened again in a few weeks later. And so my friend said to me, "There's two things I can do, you know. And one is that I could punch him one because I got a good punch," he said, "or I could ignore him and make his life a misery by making sure that he feels how cross I am with him." And I said, "Well, I suppose there is yet another way, isn't there, which you could deal with? And I suppose you could see if you could perhaps make friends with him. I mean, your dogs are going to meet every so often, and maybe you could just say, 'I'm sorry we had that argument, and perhaps we can try to get along because we've obviously got in common our dogs and so on. Maybe we could even have a drink together sometime.'" And he thought about it and he said, "Well, yes, maybe you are right." And I think what would be good is for him as well as for the other man, because my friend is holding back a lot of anger about confrontation. And if he could only let go of it, it would be so good for him as well as for the other person. And sometimes I think when we hear nations who cannot agree about different things, it goes back to individuals. And if, as individuals, we can't solve our problems, how can we expect nations not to solve their problems? So, a thought for the day. There is usually a third way, a better way. And I think I told you that I had a friend who once told me that she was going through a difficult situation. And she said, when you're going through a difficult situation, you need to be yourself at your best. Be yourself at your best. And for all of us. So continue to be yourself at your best. Spread love and happiness. And remember that you, like all those you meet, are precious, very important, and most